Thank you for attending today's meeting. With me are the following members of our management team: Michelle Zatlin, our co-founder, president, and co-chair of the board of directors; Thomas Seifert, our chief financial officer; Doug Kramer, our chief legal officer and secretary; and Phil Winslow, our vice president of strategic finance, investor relations, and treasury. We also have a representative from KPMG, our independent registered public accounting firm, in attendance with us. In addition, we believe the following other members of our board of directors are attending today's meeting: Scott Sandell, our lead independent director and a member of the board's compensation committee; Stacey Cunningham, a member of the board's nominating and corporate governance committee; John Graham Cumming, a member of the board of directors; Kareem Lakhani, a member of the board's nominating and corporate governance committee; Carl Ledner, the chair of the board's compensation committee and a member of the board's audit committee; and Catherine Suter, a member of the board's audit committee and nominating and corporate governance committee. In order to conduct the formal portion of today's meeting, I will now hand things over to Doug. Doug, take it away.
Thank you, Matthew, and good morning, Cloudflare stockholders. I will be presiding as chair of Cloudflare's annual meeting of stockholders, which I now call to order. Chad Skinner, our general counsel, will record the minutes of today's meeting. We will now conduct the formal business set forth in the notice of meeting and proxy statement that was made available to our stockholders of record as of April 10th, 2025. On or about April 21st, 2025, we mailed to our stockholders of record a notice of internet availability of proxy materials containing instructions on how to access the proxy statement and our annual report on Form 10-K for the year ended December 31st, 2024. The notice provided instructions on how to vote online or by telephone and included instructions on how to receive a paper copy of proxy materials by mail. Information concerning each of the three proposals, including information regarding the individual director nominees, can be found in the proxy statement. A copy of the rules of conduct that govern today's meeting can be found in the meeting materials section of the web portal for today's virtual stockholder meeting. We ask that each of you abide by these rules in order to facilitate an orderly meeting and to accomplish the terms on today's agenda. There is a text box on the web portal for today's virtual stockholder meeting where you can submit a question during the meeting that is relevant to one of the three proposals that is otherwise consistent with the rules of conduct for the meeting. Only validated Cloudflare stockholders may ask a question. Please submit your final questions now, as we will be closing the ability to submit questions during the meeting once we formally restate the three proposals to be voted on by stockholders. Later in the meeting, we will answer any questions submitted prior to or during the meeting that are relevant to the three proposals and that are otherwise consistent with the rules of conduct for this meeting. We will try to answer as many properly submitted questions as we have time for, but we may not be able to answer all these questions. We remind you that the voting polls are now open, so any stockholders logged in and who wish to vote during this meeting may do so online prior to closing the polls. It is now 11:33 a.m. Pacific time. We will announce when the polls are closed, which will be after the completion of the Q&A session. Kathy Blackwell of CT Hagberg has been appointed to act as the inspector of election for this meeting and has taken an oath of office, which will be filed with the minutes of this meeting. In addition, Broadridge Financial Solutions is acting as Cloudflare's mailing agent and proxy vote tabulator for this annual meeting. The record date for this meeting was April 10th, 2025. As of that date, there were 310,319,085 shares of our Class A common stock and 36,229,126 shares of our Class B common stock outstanding and entitled to vote at this meeting. Each share of Class A common stock is entitled to 1 vote on each proposal at this meeting, and each share of Class B common stock is entitled to 10 votes on each proposal at this meeting. Whenever we refer to Cloudflare common stock during this meeting, we are referring to both the Class A common stock and Class B common stock taken together. We have an affidavit of mailing from Broadridge Financial Services confirming that the notice of internet availability of proxy materials was mailed on or about April 21st, 2025 to the holders of Cloudflare's common stock as of the record date. The affidavit, notice, and proxy materials will be filed with the minutes of this meeting. The Inspector of Election, having reviewed the proxies delivered to date as certified by Broadridge Financial Solutions, has advised me that there is a quorum of shares of Cloudflare common stock present. As a result, this meeting is properly constituted for the transaction of the business for which it has been called and as stated in the notice of meeting. A quorum being present, I declare that this meeting has been duly called. There are 3 proposals to be addressed during today's meeting. 1. The first proposal is the election of Stacey Cunningham, Mark Hawkins, and Carl Ledbetter, who were nominated by the Board of Directors to serve as Class 3 directors until the 2028 annual meeting of stockholders as set forth in the proxy statement. The second proposal is the ratification of the appointment of KPMG LLP as the company's independent registered public accounting firm for the year ending December 31st, 2025, as set forth in the proxy statement. The third proposal is the approval on an advisory basis of the compensation of our named executive officers as set forth in the proxy statement. The Cloudflare Board of Directors recommends that you vote for proposals 1, 2, and 3. It is now 11:35 a.m. Pacific time, and the time to submit questions for the Q&A session has now passed. If you are voting today, you must submit your votes at this time in order to be counted by the Inspector of Election. The Inspector of Election will not accept ballots, proxies, or votes, or any changes or revocations submitted after the closing of the polls. After the Q&A session and voting polls have closed, we will announce preliminary voting results and then adjourn the meeting. While we allow time for stockholders who haven't already done so to complete their voting, I'd like to remind you that we may make forward-looking statements during today's meeting. These statements are not guarantees of future performance, but rather are subject to risks and uncertainties, some of which are beyond our control, including but not limited to the impact of adverse macroeconomic conditions on us and our customers, vendors, and partners' operations and future financial performance, and the impact of conflicts and other geopolitical tension around the world, or any potential worsening or expansion of those conflicts or geopolitical tensions. Our actual results may differ significantly from those projected or suggested in any forward-looking statements, and we urge you to review the cautionary statements and other information contained in our filings with the SEC. These forward-looking statements apply as of today, and you should not rely on them as representing our views in the future. We undertake no obligation to update these statements after this call. At this time, we will pause to answer any questions that are relevant to the proposals and consistent with the rules of conduct for this meeting as time allows. Phil, have any such questions been submitted?
No, there are no questions at this time.
Thank you. It is now 8:37 Pacific time, and the voting polls are closed. Any votes cast today, including those submitted electronically during the meeting, will be counted in the final voting tally, which will be reported on a Form 8-K that we file with the SEC within 4 business days of this meeting. I now call on the Inspector of Election to report the preliminary voting results.
Thank you, Doug. Based upon the preliminary voting results, all 3 nominees were elected to the board as Class 3 directors. The proposal for the ratification of KPMG LLP as the company's independent registered public accounting firm for the year ending December 31, 2025 passed, and the compensation of the company's named executive officers was approved.
Thank you, Kathy. Being no further business to come before the meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you all for attending Cloudflare's 2025 Annual Meeting of Stockholders.
Thank you. You may disconnect.